for our final presenter, before we head on to our next open forum, she is a freelance creative writer for fiction, screenplays, and copywriting. She holds a Master of Arts in Literature degree and a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Cinema degree from the University of San Carlos. She has a diploma in 3D animation from Film and Media Arts International Academy. She has published some of her research papers in Tukad, a literary and cultural studies journal. Let us give a round of applause for Miss Dagmar Uy.
Hi everyone, good morning. Thank you for joining us today in the celebration for Visayan food. So far we've talked about our local food, how it's represented our people, and how it has evolved throughout the regions. So let me take this time to discuss food in a creative writing perspective. So my paper is entitled Visayan Food as Plot Devices in Different Forms of Philippine Literature. So, talking about universality, at this point in time, living has been characterized greatly by difference. So, ironically, as things become more accessible to us, our days have become more complex. Our individual purpose is highlighted. Our purpose is highlighted by our individuality. However, there are always some things that stay constant. Things that matter and things that are always shared, like food. So food, literature, and life, they all have structure and they all have form. And these are elements of living that allow us to describe or sort of just encapsulate human experience. And it is perspective which directs the course of a narrative, something also that we humans have kept tradition over time. So perspective maintains a sense of consistency and is also an important tool for determining narrative motivation. So in writing fiction, this usually involves carefully linking and relinking concepts into a certain structure in order to effectively communicate meaning to an audience. So one effective way that writers can effectively communicate meaning is through the use of plot devices. And specifically, it is a storytelling tool or technique used to propel a narrative forward. They can be big, like overarching themes that carry on from the beginning of the story to the end, or from the beginning of a series of books to the end, or they could be small and situational and just small events that push the narrative forward. They can also happen at almost any time in the story. So plot always deals with causality, which is how one event leads to another, and it is always chronological. So plot devices enhance a story's potential, and when it is executed properly, it provides very deep satisfaction for the readers. In an opposite way, if a plot device is just thrown in any part of the story without anything being tied to it, it could feel like unearned. So plot devices can be material. They could be a character or an object. For example, in fantasy, we use like the object of power, or it could also be immaterial. So like situations. Some of the more popular plot devices are flashbacks. For romance, we have the love triangle. There's also the quest, the cliffhanger, the foreshadowing, and the plot twist. So, in light of this conference's theme, this analysis will explore the use of Visayan food as plot devices in different forms of local literature. So the method for this analysis is a comparative analysis. It is an interdisciplinary study of texts across cultures and is concerned with patterns of connection in literature across time and space. And it was established in the late 19th century, permitting readers and critics a fuller, more globalized experience of once unavailable text and a wider scope for analysis. So again, the anchor is the use of Visayan food as plot device in three selected stories that vary in form and determine how they propelled and shaped their respective narratives. So the first is a short story, Bakakon by Vicente Soto. Um, short stories are brief, thoughtful, and they evoke a sense of urgency that usually involve accomplishing the main character's goals and revealing their fate very quickly. So, for the premise, hello? So, sorry, I can't read. So, the premise for this short story is Nochengloy is a Tagalog who moves to Cebu in his old age. He is not in good terms with the local friars and civil officers. However, he lives alone peacefully. One afternoon, he welcomes a young Budbud peddler named Kuring into his home and boldly expresses his infatuation for her. So, in this short story, Budbud is used as the plot device, and because Nochengloy uses it uh, as an excuse to see Turing, it also functions as an alibi kind of plot device. So for a year, they carry on with their affair, using the Budbud as an alibi to meet. Eventually, Nochengo's enemies plot against him using information from the affair, leading to his demise. So, uh, Budbud from the vendor, Turing gives Nochengoy an excuse to meet her. But however, plot devices don't always need to provide solutions or opportunities for the main character. And in this case, this plot device is showcased to work against the main character's interest and foreshadow the story's ending. So the second story is Some Words of the Aforesaid Heathen Peoples by Marian Chan. And the format is a narrative poem. So, instead of main poetry, it's narrative poetry is a type of poetry featuring narrative elements in metered verse as opposed to just expressing pure emotions. So, what's unique about this poem is that uh, it um, it is written in a parallel plot structure. The narrator alternates between two time periods: the Philippines' colonial past expressed through Antonio Pigafetta's list of translated Bisaya words, and also the effect of Spanish colonialism over time through the narrator's mothers. So the plot devices in this narrative poem are rice and kamungay. So uh, in the second part of the poem, when consuming these dishes in such an aggressive manner indicates the mother's future health condition. So here, shoving spoon after spoon of rice and kamunga leaves into her mouth, she feared that my mother would dream hungry. So kamunga is used as also a metaphor to like fulfill like hunger, and also for this in the second example, in the fourth and final part of the poem, which isn't shown here, the narrator's mother recalls her past, awakening with leaves in her throat and desire in her teeth upon every retelling. So again, food functions as a replacement for lost words and a potential cure for remedying the fractured identity. Um, and this is an instance where a plot device functions also as a metaphor. So the last story is Banana Heart Summer by Merlinda Bobis, and this is a novel. The premise is that young Anita is inspired by the myth of the banana heart as she recalls her last summer in Remedios Street. So this is the myth. Close to midnight, when the heart bows from its stem, wait for its first dew. It will drop like a gem. Catch it with your tongue. When you eat the heart of the matter, you'll never grow hungry again. So this is an example where a plot device can be used as an overarching theme because it really like it really helps tie everything together. So uh, this is a very like food-filled book. So each chapter contains a specific recipe that is also used to enrich her Nenita's experience. So other plot devices, a first example is the run, and this is in the first chapter. This plot device functions as something Nenita wants to buy from Nana Dora, who tells her about the myth. So that's sort of the plot device that jumpstarts her like idea of the banana heart. Another example is Palitaw. It was a gift of courtship to Nanita's employer, which was shared to her and her family, which Nanita and her siblings asked to share, which according to their mother gives the impression of begging since they aren't a very wealthy family. And also this leads to Nanita receiving a beating from her mother because of that very action of accepting the Palitaw. So that this plot device also works. Kapalita works as a plot device in such a way that it showcases Ninita's relationship to her mother. So another example is from the 8th chapter, Halo Halo. It is used by Manolito Ching as an invitation to his house. So Halo Halo, which literally means mix in Visaya, is also an extended metaphor of how Nenita would feel about the whole situation as well as about being around Manolito Ching. And lastly, Dinuguan from the 24th chapter is also used as an extended metaphor to reveal a character, Manolito Ching's mother, who is an ill-tempered, demanding woman, busy preparing dinner for her husband's business associates. So, together, all of these examples uh, provide an episodic look into Nenita's life. So to end this, these small descriptions of food all provide a sensory experience which each of us have uh, a different opinion on, but also dealing with flavors and aromas. Um, they allow us to like also assess our own preferences, and they also provide insight on like how how we can grow as people. So um, in an attempt to fill out the gaps in our minds as well as the gaps in our culture and our relationships with others, references to Visayan food can be understood beyond symbolic or utilitarian manners. As plot devices, they can play an integral part to a story's structure and can function as key assets to narrative progression. These creative features are one of many that shape our perceptions and emotional responses to a text, and are also qualities that make stories last. Thank you.